Don't be jealous. It's just dinner with my ex for closure. My fiancé texted. I replied, have fun. Then I canceled the wedding and her credit card. Now she's back in tears, begging, after her perfect life collapsed and everyone saw the truth. This happened 3 months ago, and I'm still processing the absolute chaos that followed. My fiancée thought she could play closure dinner games while keeping her comfortable life intact. Spoiler alert, she was wrong. This is how a single text message cost her everything. My name's Sam, 32, and I own a pretty successful plumbing business. I met Jessica, 28, 2 years ago at a charity event for disabled veterans. She was working as the event coordinator, beautiful in that polished professional way that makes heads turn. Blonde hair, always perfect. Makeup that looked natural but surely took an hour to do, and a self-assured energy that drew people in like a magnet. The event was held at one of those fancy hotels that charge $400 a night. I was there because one of my commercial clients had bought a table and invited me. I thought it would be good for networking and supporting a cause I really cared about. Jessica came from a family with money, not oil money, but well off. Her father, Robert Patterson, owns 3 car dealerships in the Denver metro area. Her mother, Linda, runs a boutique marketing agency specializing in luxury brands. They live in Cherry Hills Village, in a 6,000 square foot house that costs more than most earn in 5 years. Jessica had never lacked for anything, and it showed in the way she moved through the world with the casual confidence of someone who never had to worry about rent or choosing between gas or food. Our first conversation was about the charity event. She had coordinated everything: the venue, the food, the entertainment, the silent auction. I was impressed by her organizational skills. When I told her I was a plumber, I expected the polite but distant response I usually got from women in her circle. Instead, she seemed genuinely interested in my business, asking intelligent questions about commercial versus residential work, how I had built my client base, what challenges I faced as a small business owner. Most people think plumbing is just fixing leaks, she said. But basically you run a construction company. Exactly. We do new construction, renovations, emergency repairs, maintenance contracts with office buildings and restaurants. The technical part is just one part. There's also project management, customer service, employee management, equipment maintenance, regulatory compliance. She felt like she really understood. How many employees do you have? 12 full-time workers. Right now? I'm thinking of hiring 2 more by the end of the year, and commercial contracts keep coming in. That's impressive. Most small businesses never make it past the owner-operator stage. Our first year together was incredible. She seemed genuinely impressed by my work ethic. She bragged to her friends that she was dating a real man who builds things. She brought me lunch to job sites, posted Instagram stories about my hardworking man, and generally made me feel like I had won the lottery. But the red flags started small and grew over time. The comments about how my truck was too industrial for fancy restaurants became more frequent. She suggested I park around the corner when we went to upscale places in Cherry Creek because my work truck clashed with the BMWs and Mercedes. Honey, it's not that I'm ashamed of what you do. I'm proud of you. It's just that the truck is so obvious. People make assumptions. The suggestion that I should spruce up my appearance a bit for her friends' parties turned into subtle but constant pressure to change everything about my style. Small criticisms about my apartment being on the wrong side of town turned into regular comments about how we'd need to move somewhere more appropriate once we got serious. The pressure increased after about 18 months of dating. Jessica started talking more often about marriage, hinting at ring styles and dream weddings. She would stop in front of jewelry stores and comment on engagement rings other couples wore. She sent me screenshots of wedding venues and made jokes about how someday we'd need to book a place like those. Last fall I proposed. I spent 3 months looking for the perfect ring, a 2.5 carat solitaire that cost me $18,000. It was a significant chunk of my savings, but I wanted something impressive enough to meet her expectations. The jeweler, an older man named Samuel who had been in the business for 40 years, tried to talk me into more reasonable options. Son, he told me, the right woman will be thrilled with any ring you give her if it comes with love behind it. If she's not happy unless you spend a specific amount of money, that tells you something important about her priorities. I ignored his advice and went for the premium option. I planned an elaborate proposal at Red Rocks during a concert she had mentioned she loved. An indie folk band all her friends adored. I coordinated with venue staff, hired a photographer hidden in the crowd, even arranged for the band to mention us from the stage. Cost me another $2,000 in fees, photos, and bribes to venue staff. The proposal went perfectly. Jessica said yes. She cried perfect tears that didn't ruin her makeup and immediately started taking selfies with the ring. She posted it on social media within minutes. The engagement photos made her look like a fairy tale princess, and her notifications exploded with congratulations. What I didn't notice at the time was how quickly the conversation shifted from, "I'm so happy," to, "Now we have to plan the perfect wedding." The ring wasn't the culmination of our relationship. It was the starting gun for a whole new project that would require even more money, time, and energy. Wedding planning started immediately. Jessica had opinions on absolutely everything. The venue had to be prestigious enough to impress her parents' social circle. The flowers had to be in season but exotic enough to look good in photos. The photographer had to be award-winning and expensive enough to ensure quality. Every meeting with vendors felt like a competition to see how much we could spend to make our wedding memorable. The budget grew every time we met with someone. $500 for upgraded linens became $800 for luxury linens. The florist's basic package was $2,500, but Jessica wanted the signature package, which included exotic orchids and custom arrangements, for $4,200. The photographer had a standard package for $3,500, but we needed the platinum package for $6,000. Every conversation ended the same. "It's just a little bit more for something much better." I was covering about 80% of the costs because Jessica insisted on tradition and because her parents were already paying for the reception venue at Cherry Hills Country Club. Her father had offered to cover that as an engagement gift, which seemed generous until I realized it was the most expensive part of the event, and his contribution was designed to make mine look smaller by comparison. By Christmas, we had booked September 15th at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs. Total budget $85,000. My contribution $68,000. Jessica's job as an event coordinator paid well about $55,000 a year, but she spent almost all of it maintaining her lifestyle, designer clothes, expensive skincare routines, weekly salon appointments, and lease payments on a BMW 3 Series that cost more per month than my mortgage. In January, I moved into a bigger place, a townhouse in Washington Park that would be suitable for hosting guests. The rent was almost double what I paid before, but Jessica insisted we needed something appropriate for the dinners and gatherings she wanted to host. Jessica moved in with me, although she kept her apartment for storage and, according to her, because you never know what might happen. I should have recognized that keeping an escape route wasn't exactly a sign of commitment, but I was focused on making her happy. The second big red flag was her phone behavior. Jessica had always been active on social media, but after the engagement, she became obsessive. She was constantly scrolling, posting, documenting our relationship for likes and comments, but became secretive with her messages. She closed apps quickly when I walked by, took her phone to the bathroom, slept with it under her pillow instead of on the nightstand like before. The third red flag was how she talked about her ex Brandon. Brandon was her college boyfriend. They dated 3 years at the University of Colorado. They broke up when he moved to Seattle for a high-paying job at Amazon. According to Jessica, it was a mutual and amicable decision, a mature decision between two people who wanted different things. She mentioned him occasionally, usually to compare our relationship favorably to the one she had with him. Brandon would never have planned something so romantic. Or Brandon wasn't ambitious like you. Or Brandon never understood how to treat a woman right. I should have wondered why she thought about her ex so much with frequent mentions, but I interpreted it as a good sign that she preferred being with me and not him. In February, Jessica mentioned Brandon had temporarily returned to Denver for work. Amazon was opening a new distribution center, and he was part of the team in charge of setup. Jessica seemed unusually excited by that information. She mentioned it several times throughout a week. When I asked if she planned to see him, she got defensive. "Why would I want to see him? I'm marrying you. Don't you think I'm the type of person who would betray your trust?" That defensive response should have been another red flag. Innocent people don't get defensive over innocent questions. That's when the work dinners started. Jessica had always had the occasional client dinner, but suddenly they were more frequent and always seemed to run late. She left home at 6 p.m. for what was supposed to be a 2-hour business dinner and returned around 11 p.m., slightly tipsy, talking about networking opportunities in vague terms. When I asked who she had met with or what they talked about, she waved me off. Boring work stuff wouldn't interest you. Her behavior started changing in other ways. She also started exercising more, paying even more attention to her appearance, buying new tighter and flashier clothes. Started insisting we take separate cars to social events because she might need to network afterwards. Classic signs someone is preparing to cheat. Signs I was too trusting to recognize at the time. The breaking point came one Thursday night in March. I was at home reviewing payroll for my employees when my phone buzzed with a message from Jessica. "Hi, honey. Brandon texted me and wants to have dinner tomorrow night. He's leaving Denver soon and wants closure on how things ended between us. I know it sounds weird, but I think it would be healthy for both of us to clear the air before I get married. Don't be jealous. It's just a dinner between old friends. Love you." I stared at that message for 5 minutes, reading it several times to make sure I wasn't misinterpreting anything. A closure dinner with her ex-boyfriend, whom she had mentioned increasingly lately, just after weeks of mysterious work dinners and increasingly secretive phone behavior. She wasn't asking for permission. She was informing me of her decision and preemptively defending herself against the jealousy any reasonable person would feel. The audacity was impressive. She was basically telling me she was going on a date with her ex-boyfriend, and I needed to be cool with it because it was healthy. The word closure bothered me especially. You don't need closure with someone unless there are unresolved feelings. If Brandon were truly a thing of the past, there would be nothing to clear up. I could have called her immediately, could have driven to her office to confront her face to face, could have demanded explanations, set boundaries, insisted she cancel. Instead, I did something that surprised even me. I texted back, "Have fun." Then I opened my laptop. My first call was to our wedding planner, Margaret, a strict, no-nonsense woman in her 50s who had been planning high-end weddings in Colorado for 20 years. "Margaret, it's Sam. I need to cancel the wedding." "I'm sorry. What? Is this a joke?" "Very serious. Cancel everything." "What's the damage?" There was a long pause. I heard her shuffling papers, probably looking for our file. "Sam, it's 6 months away. Most deposits are non-refundable at this point. You're going to lose about $40,000 between various commitments. The venue, catering, photography, flowers, music. The dress alone cost $8,000 and alterations already started. Do it. Cancel everything. Send me the paperwork. Are you sure about this? These things can be worked out. Pre-wedding jitters, cold feet, even serious disagreements are usually resolved with time and communication. Margaret, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Cancel everything, Sam. Can I ask what happened in 2 decades doing this? I read couples very well. You and Jessica seemed truly committed. She wants to have dinner with her ex-boyfriend for closure while we plan our wedding? That tells me everything I need to know about her level of commitment. I see. I'm sorry, Sam. I'll start making calls immediately. For what it's worth, if someone needs closure with their ex while planning their wedding, they aren't ready to get married. Jessica was an authorized user on my business credit card, something that had seemed practical when we moved in together, but was about to become very inconvenient for her. I need to remove an authorized user immediately and cancel the card. Of course, sir. What is the user's name? Jessica Patterson. And I want a new card with new numbers in less than 24 hours. Absolutely. The old card will be deactivated within the hour, and your new card will be sent urgently. Then I called the Broadmoor directly. They were surprisingly understanding when I explained I needed to cancel due to newly discovered irreconcilable differences. "We are sorry to hear about your situation, Mr. Williams. Given the circumstances, we can refund 30% of your deposit as a gesture of goodwill. Better than nothing." Next came the hard calls. My guys had already requested the day off for the wedding. My family had booked flights from several states. Her family probably made plans too, but I wasn't going to let shame stop me from protecting myself. I called my foreman Dave first. Dave had worked with me 8 years since I hired him after another company treated him poorly. He had become more of a brother than an employee. "Dave, I need you to hear this directly from me. The wedding is off. Jessica and I are done. I know you guys already asked for the day off, but you can consider it canceled." "Jesus, boss, what happened? You two seemed solid last time I saw you." "She's going to dinner with her ex tomorrow night for closure while we plan our wedding." Dave stayed quiet a moment. "Do you want me to cancel the bachelor party plans?" I had forgotten about that. Dave had been coordinating a weekend in Vegas with my crew and some college friends, flights, hotel, restaurants. Probably cost him and others time and deposits. Yes, cancel everything. Sorry for the mess and for any money you guys lose on this. Don't apologize for protecting yourself, boss. Want to talk about it? Not yet. Maybe later, but I appreciate you being on my side always, Sam. And just so you know, some of the guys wondered if she was really the one for you. Always seemed more interested in what you could offer than who you really were. My parents were harder to call. They had grown fond of Jessica, although my mother occasionally made comments about how high maintenance she was. My dad answered on the second ring. Sam, what's going on? Dad, the wedding is off. Jessica, well, she made her priorities very clear. I'm sorry, son. Are you okay? I will be. Can you call Mom and tell her and cancel whatever you planned for September? It's done. Do you need anything? Want me to come over? Just time to process this. All right. But Sam, your mother and I are proud of how you've handled yourself in this relationship. Sometimes the best thing a man can do is walk away from someone who doesn't value what he brings. That meant more to me than he knew. Then came the nuclear option. The credit card wasn't the only financial link we had. Over time, I had added Jessica to several accounts and services to make our lives easier and save money with family plans. She was on my car insurance policy, which gave her a huge discount compared to insuring her BMW separately. I called my agent and removed her immediately. My Netflix account, Spotify family plan, Amazon Prime, she used all that. I went one by one removing her access. The gym membership we shared at a fancy fitness center. I canceled her access, leaving her paying $150 a month if she wanted to continue. The meal kit service she loved, costing $400 a month, account terminated. Her phone was on my family plan. She paid me $50 a month instead of the $120 it would cost to have her own plan. I called Verizon and transferred her line to her own account effective immediately. Savings for her about $300 a month. Total inconvenience, losing it all. Priceless. It wasn't about being petty. It was about making a clean break before she could cause more damage. Then I did something that might sound crazy. I packed all her stuff. Jessica had moved more and more of her belongings into my house over the last year. Designer clothes worth thousands, expensive makeup and skincare products, jewelry I had given her, books, decorations that little by little had transformed my bachelor pad into something more sophisticated. I spent 3 hours packing everything carefully into boxes, making sure not to damage anything. I wasn't going to throw her stuff out. I'm not a child. But I also wasn't going to allow using coming for her things to become an excuse to show up, manipulate, or drag out the situation. By 9 p.m., I had 17 boxes stacked neatly in the living room, each labeled with its contents. At 9:30, the doorbell rang. Jessica was there looking spectacular as always. But something in her expression was different. She looked guilty. Her perfect composure had a crack, and she seemed nervous in a way I had never seen. Hi, honey. I'm early. The client dinner got canceled last minute. How interesting, I said without moving from the doorway. It wasn't a closure dinner with Brandon. Her eyes widened slightly. What? What do you mean? Your text this afternoon about having dinner with your ex for closure. Oh, right. Yes. He had to cancel work emergency or something. She was stammering. Clearly didn't expect to be questioned or caught in the inconsistency. Well, that's convenient because you won't need closure anymore. She pushed past me lightly and stopped dead seeing the boxes. Sam, what the hell is all this? Your stuff packed and ready to go. Why is my stuff packed? What is going on? I pulled out my phone and showed her our text conversation. You wanted dinner with your ex for closure. I decided to give you permanent closure. The wedding is canceled. The card's canceled. Your access to everything is canceled. Her face went through several emotions: confusion, disbelief, panic, and finally anger. You canceled our wedding because I wanted to have dinner with an old friend. I canceled our wedding because you thought it was appropriate to go on a date with your ex-boyfriend 6 months from marrying me and expected me to be okay with that. It wasn't a date, it was just dinner. Jessica, you dated him 3 years. You've been acting suspicious for months. Your mysterious work dinners. Secretive phone behavior. Suddenly you need closure with an ex you supposedly got over years ago. Did you really think I'm that stupid? Jessica started crying, but they weren't genuine tears of commitment. They were calculated tears, designed to manipulate me and make me feel guilty. Sam, you're completely overreacting. I love you. I'm marrying you. Brandon is ancient history. If he's ancient history, why do you need closure? No answer. Look, If you want to explore whatever is going on with Brandon, you're free to do so. But you can't do it while wearing my ring and planning our wedding with my money. That's when the real Jessica came out. You can't just cancel our wedding. Do you have any idea how humiliating this will be? What am I supposed to tell people? Tell them you chose closure with your ex over commitment to your fiancé. Sure, they'll understand. This is insane. You're destroying everything because you're jealous. I'm protecting myself because you showed me who you really are. If wanting fidelity from my fiancé makes me jealous, then I guess I am. She tried another approach. Sam, please. I made a mistake. A stupid mistake. Brandon means nothing to me. I was just curious. Okay, but I choose you. I have always chosen you. No, you chose my bank account and the lifestyle I could give you. There's a difference. That's not true. Jessica, you kept your apartment just in case. You never contributed equally to anything. You spent months complaining about my truck, my clothes, my friends, trying to remodel me into what would look better on your Instagram. This isn't about Brandon. He's just the straw that broke the camel's back. Now she was crying full force. Please, don't do this. I'll prove you wrong. I'll block Brandon. Delete his number. Do whatever you want. What I want is to marry someone who doesn't need convincing not to date other people. Someone who understands that being engaged means you already made a choice. I handed her a tissue and one of the lighter boxes. Your car keys are in the kitchen. I'd appreciate if you took everything tonight. I'll help you load it in your car. She looked at me like she was seeing a stranger. Are you really doing this? Are you really going to throw away 3 years? I'm not throwing anything away. I'm just starting to see things clearly. It took us 40 minutes to fill her BMW with all her belongings. She kept trying to restart the conversation, but I focused on the task, treating it like any other job that needed to be completed efficiently. When she was about to get in the car, she made one last attempt. Sam, when you calm down and realize you made a mistake, I might not be available anymore. Jessica, I said, I'm counting on it. She drove away and I went inside to reclaim my space. The next morning, my phone started ringing at 6:30 a.m. Missed call from Jessica. Missed call from Jessica. Missed call from Jessica's mom. Missed call from Jessica. Text from Jessica. Sam, please call me. We need to talk. Missed call from Jessica's dad. Text from Jessica. I can't believe you're ignoring me. Missed call from Jessica. Text from Jessica. Call me right now. Missed call from her mother. Text from her mother. Sam, call me immediately. Jessica is devastated. By 10 a.m., I had 35 missed calls and about 20 messages. Panic was setting in on her side as the reality of canceled vendors and lost deposits started sinking in. I finally answered when Jessica's father called. Sam, what the hell is going on? Jessica came home last night hysterical saying you canceled the wedding. That is correct, Mr. Patterson. The engagement is over. Why? She mentioned something about dinner with an old boyfriend, but that can't be the whole story. It's not the whole story, but it was the final piece of a bigger picture. Jessica has been acting secretly for months, and when she decided she needed closure with her ex, I decided to give her the space to pursue it. Son, young couples argue. This doesn't have to end everything. This wasn't a fight, Mr. Patterson. It was Jessica showing me she's not ready to get married. If she were my wife and wanted intimate dinners with her ex-boyfriend, I'd have much bigger problems. There was a long pause. Sam, Jessica made a mistake. She admits it. But don't you think you're being a little extreme? I don't think protecting myself from someone who already checked out of our relationship is extreme. Another pause. And all the money you already put into the wedding. What about that? Going to lose it all, Mr. Patterson. I prefer losing $40,000 now than half of everything I own later. He had no answer. The following days were a whirlwind of damage control and vindication. I had to call every vendor personally to explain the cancellation. Most were understanding, albeit uncomfortable with the drama. The florist, a woman named Rosa with 30 years in the business, said, "Honey, you dodged a bullet. A woman who needs closure with her ex while planning her wedding isn't ready to get married." The photographer was more blunt. "Dude, in 15 years I've seen all kinds of drama. The ones talking about their exes during planning are the same ones calling me 6 months later asking if I can Photoshop the ex-husband out of pictures. Margaret, the planner, called me when she finished all cancellations. Sam, in 20 years I never saw someone handle a breakup so decisively. Most drag it out for months hoping the other person changes. My dad taught me expecting someone to change is wasting time. Smart man, for what it's worth. I think you saved yourself years of suffering. My friends and family were overwhelmingly supportive when they understood what happened. My crew was divided. Some thought I overreacted, others that I was a hero. Dave summarized the second group. Boss, she was testing you. If you let this slide, next time she would have gone further. But the real drama was just beginning. Jessica started a social media campaign to rewrite history. According to her posts, I was a controlling and jealous man who couldn't stand her having male friends. Posted about toxic masculinity and insecure partners, without mentioning her friend was her ex-boyfriend, nor that she called it a closure dinner. Her friends joined in commenting she deserved better, that clearly I wasn't ready for marriage. Then, Jessica made a mistake that revealed more than she intended. She posted a photo on Instagram stories. Her and Brandon at an expensive restaurant, both dressed up, cocktails in hand, looking exactly like a couple on a date. The text read, "Finally got the closure I needed. Some people are mature enough to handle adult friendships." So dinner hadn't been canceled. She had lied about that too. Several people screenshot it and sent it to me. My cousin Jake wrote, "Bro, she sank herself. This proves you were right about everything." But Jessica wasn't done. The financial reality of our breakup was hitting her hard, and she was desperate to maintain her lifestyle without my support. First, she tried to get back on my credit card. Called American Express pretending to be me, trying to authorize herself as a user again. They called me to verify, and I said absolutely not. Then she tried to guilt-trip me into paying her share of canceled wedding expenses. Message from Jessica: "I can't afford to lose this money. You make way more than me. You can cover the losses." My reply: "You should have thought of that before your closure dinner, Jessica. It was just a dinner. You're being cruel. It was one dinner too many. Good luck with Brandon." She tried involving her parents to pressure me financially. Her mother called asking if we could organize a payment plan for Jessica's share of expenses. Mrs. Patterson, Jessica made the decision that generated these costs. She can figure out how to handle them. Sam, be reasonable. She can't take this loss. Then she shouldn't have risked it. The most desperate attempt came 2 weeks later. Jessica showed up at my office unannounced, looking like someone who had been crying for hours. "Sam, I made a terrible mistake. The worst of my life. Brandon and I went to dinner, and you were right. It wasn't about closure. I was confused and I was stupid, and I hurt the best man I've ever known. I want to fix this. I want to earn back your trust. I'll do anything, therapy, counseling, whatever it takes." I looked up from invoices I was reviewing. "Jessica, the problem wasn't you having dinner with Brandon. The problem is you thought it was okay to have dinner with Brandon while engaged to me. That's not something therapy can fix. People make mistakes. People deserve second chances. Some mistakes reveal character flaws that can't be fixed. Your mistake showed me you don't understand what commitment means." She tried a different approach. "What if we postpone the wedding instead of canceling? Give ourselves time to work on this." "Work on what? On you wanting to date your ex while engaged to me? There's nothing to work on. I don't want to date him. I was just curious." "Jessica, curiosity about your ex doesn't disappear by getting married. It just becomes more destructive." She left crying, but I only felt relief. A month later, I ran into Brandon at a coffee shop. He approached somewhat uncomfortably. "Sam, I'm Brandon. I think we need to talk, really." "Yeah. Look, I want you to know dinner with Jessica wasn't my idea. I don't care whose idea it was. She told me you guys were having problems, that the engagement was basically broken, that you were just keeping up appearances until one had the courage to end it. Interesting. So, she made it sound like you had already emotionally checked out of the relationship. If I had known you were still committed, I would never have agreed to see her." "What happened at dinner?" Brandon looked uncomfortable. "She spent the whole dinner talking about how dissatisfied she was, how you didn't understand her, that she was having doubts about getting married. Clearly she was waiting for me to make a move." "And did you?" "No way. I saw what was happening. She wanted me to be her escape route, so she wouldn't be the bad guy in the story." He paused. "When I didn't take the bait, she got frustrated and started saying you were probably too boring to suspect anything anyway. Pieces fit together. Jessica didn't want closure. She wanted an affair or an excuse to leave me for someone else. When Brandon didn't play her game, she went home to find her world had collapsed. Thanks for telling me," I told him. "And just so you know, I think you acted perfectly. She wanted to have everything without sacrificing anything. I'm better than ever. Business is thriving without wedding expenses draining my accounts. I invested in new equipment and hired 2 more guys. We landed a huge contract, replumbing a 40-story office building downtown. 18 months of continuous work generating almost $400,000 in revenue. Bought a new truck, fully loaded F-350 diesel. Jessica would have hated. It's totally impractical for anything but work. Guzzles fuel like crazy, and I love it. Been dating casually. Met a woman named Sarah, physical therapist owning her own clinic. Drives a practical Honda Accord. Insists on splitting the bill and doesn't mention ex-boyfriends. Taking it slow, but she's genuine in a way Jessica never was. Jessica, meanwhile, is dealing with the financial reality of her decisions. Had to move back with parents because she couldn't afford apartment without my support. BMW went back to dealer when she stopped making payments. Apparently $600 per month payment harder to sustain when also paying own insurance, phone plan, and streaming services. From what I hear via mutual acquaintances, she and Brandon dated about 6 weeks before he got sick of the drama and ended it. She's been single since posting inspirational quotes about growth and finding oneself. Her Instagram follower count dropped considerably since she can no longer afford the lifestyle she documented. Turns out people don't want to follow someone whose content went from fancy brunch pics to motivational quotes about overcoming adversity. Last week, Jessica's mom called one more time. Sam, I know this is hard, but Jessica has been struggling. Really struggling. Financial pressure, social embarrassment. Losing you has been overwhelming for her. Sorry to hear that, Mrs. Patterson. She learned her lesson. Knows she made a terrible mistake. If there's any chance. There isn't. But you loved her once. That doesn't mean nothing. It means I'm glad I discovered who she really was before marrying her and not after. She's a good person who made a bad decision. Mrs. Patterson, she didn't make a single bad decision. She made a series of calculated decisions over several months. Dinner with Brandon was just the one I couldn't ignore anymore. Long silence. What would have to happen for you to consider giving her another chance? Nothing. I'm with someone else now and happy. Jessica had her chance to be in my life and decided to gamble it. Hung up feeling completely at peace with decision. My dad was right about having money just in case and freedom to walk away from destructive situations. But he was also right about something else. People who truly value you will never put you in position where you must choose between self-respect and relationship. Jessica thought she could have both, security of our relationship and thrill of exploring something with Brandon. When I forced her to choose, she showed me exactly what her priorities were. The $40,000 I lost canceling wedding was best money I've spent in life. Bought me clarity, freedom, and future with someone who understands what commitment really means. Sometimes most expensive lessons are also most valuable.